Good morning, everyone. Boom. The hourglass has spoken. And welcome to the Daniel Baldwin Show. It is Monday, the 31st. Yes, I said it. It's the 31st of March. So April is about to start. And I'm thinking, where did this year go so far already? January, February, and March are gone. So 25% of the year is gone already. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and it just seems like it's going by so much faster because I know I have less and less time left on the earth. Hopefully no time soon, but I just got back from Italy. I had a great business trip with Dr. Kayla, my partner, on a few fronts. We have a bunch of stuff going on and you'll hear his name more and more as the podcast goes. How is everybody? You know, I thought to myself about things I don't do on the show, and I don't ask, how are you doing? How is everyone doing out there? And I know I'm not going to get a direct answer right now. I'm not delirious, not yet. But how's everyone doing? How's your family doing? How are you feeling about things that are going on in the country? As I look for stuff that I want to talk about, I actually just walked up to people in Italy and said, hey, my name is Daniel Baldwin. And, you know, depending on their age, some of the older people, you know, say, Baldwin, yes, see, you, Alec, Billy, you know, and they knew who I was. Some may, not as many known who I was. But I asked them a general question. What do you think of when you think of America right now? What do you think of? And of course, Trump's name comes up and America's big. And, you know, when I was there and stayed there, lived there for, you know, a portion of this 1 year I shot there and then I stayed beyond that. I remember people, it seemed to me that they saw America more as Vegas. I've said this before on the show. They saw America as this big, bright lights. And, you know, they didn't know anything about our farm belt, our dairy, our, you know, the many other things we do that aren't, bam, you know, and bright and shiny and always big. And, you know, when I lived in Texas, I used to think, God, Texas is huge. Everything in Texas is big. You have a party in Texas, there's 500 people there. And it wasn't true. Texas is very family oriented and Texas is a very patriotic place. Texas was great. I love Texas. I would go back and live in Texas again. I love the people there. They were very straightforward. They were New York attitude as far as their straightforwardness and their honesty about how, and directness about how they dealt with things. With a cowboy flair to it instead of a New York City flair to it. You know, I grew up on Long Island. It was, you know, a lot of Italian guys and people talk like this and you could hear in your voice that you was from the island, you know, but you know, I hung around with a lot of guys that were pretty straight up Irish, Catholic, Italian, Jewish, you know, they hit you right in the teeth with the truth. And it was okay. You weren't going to get mad at that because you asked what their opinion was, or maybe they just offered it, but it was real. It was very real. There was not a lot of gilding of the lily. In Italy, people are very gracious and they're kind. They're a little, seems more reluctant, or maybe because they knew I was an American and what I was asking. But in my experience there, they're a little kinder in their, how they tell you what they think and their thoughts. So I asked various ages, and I posted some of this already. You know, what do you think of when you think of America? And then, of course, Trump came up. A big thing that older people talked about, excuse me, I got something caught in my throat, energy drink at 6 o'clock in the morning. And the relationship with Russia and Putin and what Putin's capabilities could be, or, you know, what the outcome of a confrontation between the United States and Russia and what that would look like for them, being kind of caught in the middle, being an ally of ours. But what does that mean for the Italian people? And rightfully so, they should think about that. These are people that have children and grandchildren. And even the teen, I interviewed a couple of teenagers who had interesting perspective, but the Putin thing seemed to come up a lot. And I looked at how they answered, and I knew they were answering based on the information that was available to them. It was quite interesting because it took me to a place of where I want to go with today's show. And that was, and I've talked a little about this before, you know, it kind of depends on where you get your information from. So I thought I'd ask a general question on the internet and see what came up. You know, and granted, the fascinating thing for me wasn't what came up, not every time. It didn't even answer the question. It was that the the engine was steered to direct you in a way to eventually bring you to what the message that week or day or whatever it was that they wanted to deliver to you. So, for instance, let's listen during the election. This fascinated me, and I posted this before. This was an Alexa question. Alexa, I think it was, why should I vote for Donald Trump? And then it was, why should I vote for Kamala Harris? Now, this is before the election took place. So you can imagine that you would think this would be equal.
Alexa, why should I vote for Trump?
I cannot provide responses that endorse any political party or its leader.
Alexa, why should I vote for Kamala Harris?
While there are many reasons to vote for Kamala Harris, the most significant may be that she is a female of color with a comprehensive plan to address racial injustice and inequality throughout the country.
Now, this is a great example of what I'm talking about right now. When you listen to it telling you why you should vote for Harris, a woman, she's African American, she was the attorney general, she was it just goes on to list all these accolades, and it said it can't render an opinion when it came to Donald Trump. That's unbiased? That's fair that this general world consciousness site, that is supposed to just report stuff, it is fed by someone with an agenda. So today, when you put a question in, you type a question in on Safari, Google, whatever it is, the search engine of your choice, it'll say, did you mean, is the current administration working? And I just wrote, is the current administration working? Now, I would think that a search engine would understand that I meant political administration, meaning Trump and the administration. But I wanted to see if I left it in general, just like that, what it would say. And it said, try using words that might appear on the page you are looking for. For example, cake recipes instead of how to make a cake. Check the other tips for searching on Google. Okay, so it gives me first of all, did you mean, and repeats almost verbatim what I wrote. CBS News came up second. President Trump said Sunday that I'm not joking about trying to serve a third term. The clearest indication he is considering ways to breach a constitutional barrier against continuing to lead the country after his second term ends in the beginning of 2029. There are methods which you could do it, Mr. Trump said in a telephone interview with NBC News and from Mar-a-Lago, his private club. So first reports that I followed that he said this were, let me just tap on this, was he's going to run. But as I read the Constitution right now, I don't believe that he is eligible to run again. I'm not sure after 3 3/4 more years of this, he'll want to run again. I do believe he said that in jest, and now they're quoting him via telephone, which is not as good as my actually seeing him or someone having him on camera actually saying it, because I believe that things that people say can be twisted, can be interpreted, or outright just lied about in order to satisfy this agenda that I'm talking about. So, but that's not what I'm after here. I want you to try to follow what I'm saying here. What I'm trying to say is, I searched, do you think that the current administration is working? And the first thing that comes up for CBS is this, Trump says he's not joking. Why is that? Why would that come up? Why wouldn't an opinion on some article or something done in all the outlets that CBS has since Trump took office? There isn't something about, negative or positive, about how it's going for Trump right now, how CBS feels, his first month report, his second month report, this came up. This came up because this smears Trump. This is set up by CBS, in my opinion, to make you feel bad about Trump, to make you feel that he's up to something, that it's always this, the serpent, it twists its way around trying to find the right way to, and the right position to be in order to highlight things that they think will get you and I to react negatively to. When I read CNN, for example, who I'm going to quote next, I think we can all agree that CNN leans to the Democrats and the left, and that Fox leans to the right in the Republican Party. I think that's safe for us all to agree. I don't think anyone's going to argue that point. Okay, so you will hear people, Republicans say, yeah, go back to, maybe you should watch something more than CNN. And I certainly have taken my share of people going, get your nose out of Fox, blah, blah. Okay, try to find somebody who really is neutral. When we went through the list of monies that are given to NPR by the government that have been approved by the Democrats, large chunks of money. Reuters I was amazed. I always looked at them as a former Democrat. Well, if I want to know, let's go to, UPI, AP, let's go to Reuters. Reuters will definitely, they're a neutral. Tens of millions of dollars, I believe the report said, that they received through the Biden administration. And so that changed so much. I mean, if I'm getting paid, if I'm the announcer for the New York Yankees and I start criticizing the ownership and I would probably be pretty careful how I did that. I might say things gently, like, or massage it a little bit, like, I'm not sure this was the best move. Let's see, kind of, as opposed to saying they sucked, they're idiots, they're this. Well, when you're getting paid from the Boston Red Sox to report on the New York Yankees, what do you think? I'm just, again, it feels so tainted. And I realize when I go to certain sources, it's going to be that way. If I turn CNN on here, let me go ahead. CNN, same search. How is the administration doing, or what was it? Is the current administration working? That's all I searched. First thing up from CNN. Trump is using the power of government to punish opponents. They're struggling to respond. President Donald Trump is using the power of the federal government to intimidate or neuter potential sources of opposition to him. The legal establishment, academia, and prominent culture institutions, the media, the judiciary, the Democratic Party, Congress, and independent government oversight. The unprecedented breadth of the actions Trump and his allies inside the government have taken against the perceived political and ideological opponents in his first 2 months back in office is stunning. Again, I don't even know where to begin in my reaction to that. And I don't even know a good example. It's beyond me, the perception of feeding that information on. Number one, though, maybe the most important thing, based on this search, you think CNN doesn't have anything to talk about. We think that Donald Trump, the prices haven't come down, or some of the things you do here. How long will it take for there to be peace in the Ukraine? How long will there be for whatever it is, whatever the criticism is, the time frame of this, the vote on that, or how's it going? Do you think the administration is working? And this piece comes out number one in the search. So arguably half the people looking, or a little under half, are looking and going to follow and favor CNN, and are going to be fed this angry sounding. This guy is, and just pounding him. The president has done almost every single thing he said he was going to do that we elected him for. Whether you like what those are, which a little less than half don't anyway, he won by a tight margin, but he won all 7 swing states, and he won the popular vote, which means most of us wanted him to be president based on the things that he said he was going to do. This is no different. Let me explain something to you. I have a nice property, not super fancy. I'm in a upper middle class neighborhood in Milton, Georgia. We have a little man-made lake in the backyard that 30 houses share. You can't swim in it or anything, but there's a couple fish back there for the kid to catch. And, my kids go to a nice school. But we have to maintain the property. I put a garden in it. So this is the most exciting time of year. I've got plants growing in the house. We grow lights and tomatoes are going to go in soon. I'm just waiting for the ground and the weather to stay warm enough not to kill stuff when I put it outside. But I germinate them in a petri dish. Real growth. I take them from a seed and I water them with little pieces of paper in a dish and watch them sprout and nurture them. And then I grab them and take them out of that dish, and I transplant them into a little tiny thing of soil like this, and I water them and I grow light them, and I put them into another thing, and then I eventually line the tilled ground with nutrients, everything with plastic, and cut holes and plant them all the way until later this summer when I'm going to pick big fat tomatoes and I'm going to eat them with my family, and cucumbers this big, I mean, just beautiful, right in my backyard, farm to table. And I got to tell you, that may sound boring to you. I love doing it so much. I love standing out there with an apple in my mouth and my dogs barking at each other and watering those plants and talking to them. I sing to them. And my neighbors must think I'm crazy. But this time of year, we have to cut trees back, and we have to, redo borders and clean up stuff that blew back there from the lake and everything else. And I do some of it, but I probably bring a guy in. Next door, I just saw them bringing their guy in. The spring cleanup. So the guy comes in, and there's 20 guys around here that want that job. It's quick money. They're going to knock it down. They do it in less than a day. They probably knock out, a couple of them a day. But it's going to be $400, $500 to chip the wood and cart the stuff out of the backyard and bag it up, whatever they got to do, throw it on their truck. And they come in, you ask them for an estimate. And he tells you what he's going to do. He tells you why you're going to pay, what you're going to pay for, and how much you're going to pay for his services. And you kind of go to a couple of the boys in the neighborhood and you go, hey, is your guy, did he do your yard? My next door neighbor on one side, their yard looks really, really beautiful. The other looks good. But the other guy got it really cleaned up. I mean, all the leaves, all the stuff out of the, I have these thicket, almost rose bushy looking long arms with thorns. You can't get in there. These guys must have gone in there. However they got everything out, it's beautiful. I thought, well, what's the price difference between these two? What are you going to get for your money? And then once you hire the guy, is he going to do the same job? Is he going to do the job that he promised he's going to do? That's what the president's doing. That's what the president's doing. He came into the yard. He told you everything he's going to do. He showed you examples. He told you how much it's going to cost you. This is what it's like. This is how long, blah, blah, blah. He laid it all. He told you how he was going to do it. No. I got to bring the little, crane thing in here, get to the top of that tree. I want to cut that down now so it's shaped nice. Oh, okay, so the crane, how's it going? We take the fence out. We roll it in. Don't worry. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is. Then I hired him. This president got hired already. We hired him to do the job he promised he's going to do. Not what my neighbors thought he was going to do, not how my neighbors thought he was going to do it. I don't give a crap what my neighbors wanted. The guy across the street who doesn't live on the lakeside who's jealous or whatever it is. This is my house. These are the guys I hired. This is the president I voted for to do certain things in a certain time frame, in a certain way. Will things change? Am I able to understand that this might take a little longer or this might go exactly? Yeah, I get it. Russia might say no. Ukraine might pull out of the mineral deal, blah, blah, whatever it is. But he's still trying to do from day one what I hired him to do. That's what I want. I want him to do the things he promised he was going to do. You cannot tell me that this guy hasn't done that. But what's fascinating to me, CNN, is that in this search, is the current administration working? And the first thing that comes up in CBS and in CNN are these two articles. Why is that? Why is that? In my opinion, I'll tell you why. Ask yourself, why is that? Because getting this in front of your eyes enough times, getting the agenda of shooting this guy down, of making it as difficult as possible for him to succeed, works for them, for the next election and the way they see it, the people whose pockets get lined that actually own those news outlets. That there's an agenda here, a financial agenda, in my opinion. So I find it hard for me, even when it comes to some of the ones that support the Republicans. When I look at Fox, I watch Fox knowing most of the time that they're going to feed the right. They're going to feed the Republican way, a majority of the times. I don't think that CNN, I think they're forced sometimes to have to report, at least about the facts, that everyone is reporting. They have to report that. Now, their slant on how it happened or what's going to happen can be completely different than Fox or other news outlets. But it's hard to twist, especially when there's videotape and blah, blah. But this swayed opinion. Let's take, for instance, if you just Google Elon Musk, if you Google Tesla, if you Google, the stuff that could come out, if when you go to places on the left, it's going to be about the audacity of Musk and who is he, and he's unelected, and it'll be negative. It'll be negative press a vast majority of the time about Elon Musk, because that serves the Democratic Party, who are running for the hills. In my opinion, these people are frightened, and they should be. How can I word this? When no one has seen your pants get pulled down, no one knows that. No one knows what's there. And you've told everyone what they can expect to see. Oh my goodness, it's very impressive. Wait till you see. If you only could see. One day, maybe you'll see. And then someone pulls your pants down on national television, and they go, oh, that's it? How does that explain everything you kept saying about what would happen if you could see for 30 years? That's what's about to happen. And people know that what they have isn't what they advertised. Truth's about to come out. People that made, listen carefully now, people that made millions and millions, tens, hundreds, billions of dollars. There are politicians in the United States that have lined their personal pockets. Now, if I was on a committee, I'm on a committee with my brother Alec, my brother Stephen, and my brother Billy. We're all on this committee. And someone tells me, hey, about a stock or whatever. It's my brother. I get the information and I tell my brother, one of my brothers. Are you going to lock me up for my spreading to my brother or my whispering to my brother and not sharing with anyone else on advertising this information I got? If the information was given to me illegally, that would probably be a problem. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, in order for that stock to make the money we're talking about, I need your vote, Daniel. I need you to vote for this law to change in California. I need you as a senator or a congressman to make sure this initiative gets approved. And because you've now bought stock in that company, so buy the stock in blah, 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 blah. Buy it now. Because your vote in changing this is going to make us all rich. And your vote should have been unbiased about whether or not this improved the quality of life or the situation for your particular state. California, I made as an example in this. If I can prove you did that, that's really bad. That you made that decision, especially if some of the decisions you were making actually didn't help people. You didn't care about the people in California. You did it so that your stock would go up or whatever the kickback was. You're going to find, in my opinion, a lot of that names are going to be named now. People realize it's one thing to accuse a president or a politician or whoever of weaponizing their office in order to do themselves greater good. It's one thing to give pardons out to people that you know did terrible things for personal gain, and whether you participated in it or not. And remember, there's lots of ways to participate. If, let's use a hypothetical example like Fauci. If you pardon Fauci, but you gained by having Fauci, or you financially invested in the jab, in the vaccines or whatever, and then you approved these measures to happen, and all those guys made all this money, knowing they weren't tested and that it didn't cure anything or it didn't prevent anything, you should go to jail. But now you pardon those guys and misuse the power of your office. Those people should pay for doing that, knowingly that they did it to protect their friends that made them all this money. You get the idea behind the circle. If you're using your office to expose people that did terrible things, how does that gain you financial gain? How does that put money in your pockets or your friends' pockets. The truth is the truth. And when the truth comes out, you have to be able to bear the storm. You can make mistakes. God knows I made mistakes in my career and in my life, for sure. And I'm sure as I go along with this podcast and some of the political beliefs that I have, some of the political aspirations that I have, people are going to ask me questions about my past. I'm going to have to look them right, down the eye, down the barrel, and say, yeah, I did that. No, that one's not fully true. That one, this part's true, that part's, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Listen, no one that knows me doesn't know that I've stood up before and go, yeah, I wish I hadn't done that. Yeah, I've had unsuccessful relationships and marriages. I've had failures as a father. I've had, addiction problems that I've done really, really well with turning that around and giving that experience, strength, and hope out to other people to help the quality of their lives. Because I haven't been afraid to look at you and tell you how bad it was. I haven't been afraid to say, that was really bad. I was arrested for that, blah, blah. This is a long time ago now, but I was able to come out the other side of that and help a lot of people. Hundreds and hundreds of interventions and talks, private, Zoom, in people's living rooms. But all that was grounded and fathered by the mistakes that I made. Do I wish go back that I never had some of the problems that I had? Ooh, that's a double-edged sword, because I don't think I ever would have been in a position to have been as influential and helped as many people as I did. So I wish I hadn't, I don't know if this makes sense, but I wish I hadn't had to have gone through them because of the pain and the pain I caused other people. The pain I caused other people in my life, that I wish I could take away. What I caused my sisters, what I caused, my oldest daughter, Kaylee. I know as a teenager, when I really was going through my addiction problems, that was rough on her. And I've paid for that in my relationship and lack thereof now. When I look at my older brother and my older sister, what they had to go through, standing up there in front of the camera and saying, he's a good guy, but he definitely needs to figure this out. That was hard for them. It was hard for Alec, to have to be the leader of the family and the most famous and have to answer questions about, my getting arrested, and different things that happened to me. That had to be hard for him. He didn't do that, but he got lobbed in his lap because I was his brother. And we look and sound a lot alike. And what's interesting too about that continuum of life was that I've had to do that, when it comes to him. I've had to do that when it comes to things that he's been involved in the last couple of years. And so now I know what that felt like for him. Mine was wasn't an accidental thing. I got caught on accident, but the point is, I know what that's like to watch Stephen go through some of his trials and tribulations. Stephen's daughter and her whole public life has been, it's in the public, and our last name is Baldwin, and it seems to always come out about, whatever happens. And I don't want to comment much on what happens with Stephen's family, but you get the point of where I'm going. This whole Google search subject today, how the agenda is steered to manipulate what you see and what you digest. They say a thing that if you hang around in a barbershop enough, barbershop's a great place to hang out if you want to get the story in that community, what's going on. Just go up into Harlem and sit in a barbershop and you'll get the 411 on everybody in the neighborhood within a few days. Just fast and furious, and it's raw and it's real. But the saying is, you hang around in a barbershop long enough and you're going to get a haircut. That's coming. That's part of hanging out in the barbershop enough times. You hang around a pizza place long enough, you're going to eat a slice of pizza for sure. I promise you, it's coming. So when you hang around on your social media and on your phone, depending upon what it is you're looking at and where you're looking at it, you're going to get these types of disparaging reports about the president or about whomever, or you're going to get positive reports about them. The depiction will sway depending upon what the agenda is. What I find so fascinating is not only will it sway, but the answer won't even be answered. It'll just be direct towards what they want me to see without even answering the question. I didn't ask a question that was answered twice here. I didn't ask anything about Trump and changing laws and what's his plan to try to get reelected. Was it a joke? Wasn't it a joke? Where did he say it? It just came up just by asking, how's he doing? So you enter certain keywords and right away you're bombarded with stuff that has almost nothing to do with what you were searching for. I would expect to see polls, comments from people, straight out answers. Trump's first 3 months ruled as negative by so-and-so society, by the American Jewish diocese, whatever. Didn't get that. Got the latest negative Trump news. Let me read this to you. President Trump delivered an address to joint session of Congress in the U.S. Capitol on Tuesday night. Now, this is obviously a few weeks ago. 6 weeks into his second term, since his inauguration, he has worked briskly to try to radically reshape the government and has signed dozens of executive orders, many unpending policies created by former President Joe Biden. Trump took stock of what he's done so far and laid out his vision for the economy, immigration, and foreign affairs. Now, that sounds more like what I asked about. Now, it goes back all the way to 6 weeks in, but it talks about Trump taking stock and what he's done so far in the economy and so on. U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents had about 30,000 encounters with migrants attempting to cross the U.S. borders illegally in January, the agency reported. The agency has not reported the numbers for February. However, Reuters reported last week that the administration is on track to report about 8,500 arrests at the U.S.-Mexico border for February. This could be the lowest number of crossings since Homeland Security started reporting data in 2000. So we're on our way, according to the report that's going to come out for February, which I believe is out, that it is the lowest number of occurrences at the border between the United States and Mexico in the last 24 years. That's a success story, no? The incidents. Remember, too, that our border guys and girls down there working, I mean, I want you to imagine, this is a war down there sometimes. I mean, they are so outnumbered. They've got cartel people coming in that will shoot you dead, before getting caught if they can. I mean, it is a war, a fentanyl immigration war that is super dangerous, and they're doing the best they can. And these boys and girls down there that are doing this job, my God, how do we not praise them and support them and just say, thank you so much for trying to keep our country safe. This is literally like sending them to another country to fight. And you know how I feel about our veterans. You know that I feel that there's nothing we shouldn't be doing for them. I think we're missing the mark right now in our support. But I think this president's going to try to change that with initiatives and programs once he can stop the siphon of juice that's going out to stuff that makes absolutely no sense. But anyway, that's another whole shot. Reporters from across NPR's newsroom fact-checked the address, offered context. And so this is part of what Trump said in his address. And of course, even NPR, they had subjects you could hit on, and their supposed fact checks first. I don't know if I believe any of them anymore. Fox, CNN, the fact is based on what? What is a fact anymore? Honestly, show me the number of people that took the ticket or they counted them with videotape evidence, and I'll say, I believe that number, or I believe this, or I believe that, because what's considered a fact now, what's required to be a fact, is again, so crazy. Think about what I'm reading to you. This report, too, that I just read, came up under the same search. It came up, is the current administration working? That's all I asked. That's all I asked. And I got this huge thing on, but again, at least this one talked about how he's doing. The other ones had nothing to do with how he's doing. They had to do with what they didn't like that he was doing or said he was doing or joked about doing, whatever, and steered you to go, Trump again, Trump again, Musk. And I'm gonna leave that for you to look at, because I feel sad that I can't just do the simple research to answer certain questions. Hey, what is so-and-so up to today? And I want to know, and it'll be some stuff that in their opinion he did or she did that was bad, depending upon where I'm getting the report from. What is, Hillary Clinton, blah, blah. And it'll be just bashing the crap out of her. Something she said. There was an article that came up that was, these are actual quotes of Hillary Clinton's, and they were just awful things. Yeah, how much is AI? How much did she really say? Who's supplying it? It's a Secret Service person who now is writing a book, or, who knows? I wasn't there. I almost have to say that about everything now. I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. Because it's so hard to decipher what's real unless they have it on video or they have a recording. And then, of course, is that recording real? Is that really what happened? Is that legit? I don't know. With AI now, I mean, you can make it look like I was standing in the room and that I was part of it, and I look you and swear to you, I wasn't there. I don't know that person. So it's so difficult to decipher until you see something that, a witness that's a credible witness or whatever. I don't even know what to say anymore. I don't. It's so difficult. I just find it so agenda driven that I pointed out this search. How's the president doing so far? How's the current administration doing? How's the administration working? And I would expect to say things, numbers are low, numbers are high, great support in Washington. This society of people, this state has backed, what's going on in Wisconsin, the vote that's going to happen, terms are coming up in 26. So where does that support look like it's going? Those will be reflective factors about how people feel the administration is doing. Price of gas, but are groceries coming down? Are they going to get better? How long is it going to take? But those are all things, factors that I would like to hear about that would support this question. But it's not that. The search goes into an agenda base. Like the machine seems to be spinning, going, okay, how can we spit out as many times this just awful stuff about the administration? How many times can we spit out this great stuff that tells you how wonderful Trump is, that tells you how wonderful, it's on both sides. I mean, I get it. I love having people write me, particularly on Facebook. My God, Facebook, the wars that go on my Facebook page, because I've been open about, hey man, people will post stuff, just awful stuff, where I'll go, do you really believe that's true? Do you really believe that's why Elon Musk is getting involved? His stock is getting buried. His life is in danger. He has kids. Yeah, that's right. And this guy, he's going to get tax breaks, and he's getting. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. But let me say something about the billionaires. Let me clear something up, and I'm going to end this show on this. I may actually tell you now. I'm going to do another show on this subject, but I'm going to tease you with this now. The billionaire that are going to make so much money, that aren't paying enough taxes, that should be Kamala Harris telling us that they're going to be the ones that are going to pay. And everyone out there is telling us, on the left side, all these billionaires and friends of Trump's and him and Musk and blah. I don't know what their personal taxes are. I don't know. I don't have a report in front of me. But a couple things for you to consider. Billionaires that own car companies and rocket companies and do the types of work that this particular one, let's use for an example, Elon Musk. Do you know how many people he employs? Just wait. Do you have any idea how many people that they buy things from also employ and make a living and pay taxes? I mean, you're talking about hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people's lives get touched through the battery plants and the lithium and the blah, blah. I mean, how many people a person of that kind of influence touches, and how many tax dollars are paid as a result? And so I don't think anyone should be exempt from having to pay taxes. I don't know what they're. Do you have any idea how much of an influence on the economy someone's business that employs, buy insurance companies, policies, well, as Tesla? and you want to know whether or not he's going to get a government contract that helps his company, and this is the kickback or whatever you're trying to, do you have any idea how much of an influence on the economy this man and his companies have? While you bitch about whether or not taxes or favors are, do you have any idea how much of an influence and how many tax dollars are generated through his businesses? When we don't like something that goes on, I mean, I saw something that at first made me not well up like I was going to cry, but it made me a little emotional. It was Waltz in Minnesota taking the Tesla stock thing and running it around on stage as if to brag that Tesla stock was dropping so considerably. What a terrible misuse of power. What an awful testimonial to who that guy really is that he would do that. What a terrible misuse of power. Do you know how many people in Minnesota own Tesla stock? Do you know how many people have lost, how many Americans that voted for him and didn't vote for him, but that voted for him as well? When we don't agree with the policy of a company, when we don't agree with the policy of an individual, that can create, look at Martin Luther King and how many people stood up and protested. Look at how many people, their answer was violence. And what we said about that, what we look upon that now, how wrong that was, how the injury of anyone, African American or different, the suppression of anyone. Look what we're doing right now when it comes to this guy. You may not like him. I promise you a majority, and there's a lot of Democrats that won't say it because it's unpopular right now because of how crazy it's gotten over him and what he's doing with Doge. But I promise you, most people still live the way I live. And they go, you're stealing my money? I'd like to know about that. I do. I'd like to know about that. I heard rumors, but you showed me no evidence of that. Do you actually have evidence of that? Let's dangle P. Diddy over here while everyone concentrates on that nonsense, or Jeffrey Epstein, and keep fueling that story like that mattered compared to whether sitting senators, congressmen, former presidents or active presidents, anyone in politics, have acted illegally in the misplacement or misdirection or stealing of monies that were taxpayer dollars. No. I'm not going to get distracted by the sideshow of what's going on here. Names are coming. Please listen to me now. Names are coming with evidence that cannot be disputed. Why do you think they so vehemently want to stop him? I worry that if you can kill John Kennedy for wanting to pull out of Vietnam and stop the industrial war complex, whether you can ideologically, financially, whatever it is, have a sitting president killed down in Texas right in front of everybody and they didn't even care. If you can drop 2 giant buildings in New York, drop them absolutely unequivocally, hide charges in the elevator shafts and blow that building and drop it to the ground. Now, again, I can't prove that right now, but as I listen to professionals, I listen to reports and watch the videotape, it seems very clear to me, particularly Building 7, which had a fire on the roof and the whole thing dropped right into its own basement. If you can do those things, are you going to kill Elon Musk? Is something going to happen to him? Are you going to make another attempt at the President of the United States? I don't know. But it seems like you can do a lot of things rather than let information, or if you want to have something go a certain way. Am I in some kind of danger from intervention from someone for telling you these things? I don't know. I feel like I would not be doing justice to what I think and what I'm observing if I didn't tell you that, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people, and how you get the information after it starts to happen, after they nail the first person and they get arrested, or a government investigation starts because a very famous politician, and again, I'm hypothetical, a Nancy Pelosi level, one of those people, they go, yeah, we now have the recording or the email or the whatever that just shuts it. It completes the report. It's now prosecution time. What's the reaction to the powerful people who know they're next if that happens. You're going to search over certain things and you're going to be sent a certain way. You know, Harry Houdini, we're going to make you look over here while whatever needs to happen happens over here. Or other stories come and take over the press that week while people are walked away in handcuffs and you don't really, it doesn't hardly even make the news. Like they have that kind of power over what we're watching right now. Your phone, I have conversations with my wife, I kid you not, and I talk about something I haven't talked to her about at all. Let's get rocking chairs was one example. I talked about these big rocking chairs. Did you see those rocking chairs? Well, now my phone was off, not powered off, but I wasn't actively using it. I wasn't searching on Facebook. I just talked about them. I got advertisements for 2 days in a row on these big outdoor rocking chairs. Came to me on social media. Popped up on Facebook, popped up on sale, popped up Amazon, email. Why would that come to my phone? Who has access to listening to what I'm talking about in a private conversation that I never once searched? God is my witness, came up. So there's all types of stuff going on because of smartphones and TVs and stuff where I believe you can be seen, you can be heard, you can be traced, you can be everything. When I travel to Italy with my phone, that beacon bounces off another table. I mean, anybody that wanted to know where I was would know exactly where I was, right down to my hotel room, at what time, where, when, the whole bit. They can watch everything you do. So what's the risk involved and how far will people go when this starts to really start cooking? When Musk and Trump and the administration and law enforcement start finding out about stuff that they're just going to say, wow, if the American people knew this, what would they say and what would they do? You're about to find out. And I think it's going to be, I think the response is going to be tumultuous, to say the least. Tumultuous. So that's the end of the show. Listen, please, if you can, I'm asking if it's possible. Subscribe to the show. Subscribe, hit like, share it with people. I want to know what people think. You know, I've avoided having other guests. I can certainly talk. I might start talking on some other shows now. Rogan is one that I went on. Patrick Pitt David, love him and his show. He's so talented, so powerful. But it might be time to get on some other shows and talk about what's happening and talk about this show. And as time goes, you know, I've got multiple cameras to use and screens to have guests on everything. I've just been kind of doing this myself, you know, and talking to you about what matters. But hitting subscribe and hitting like helps me justify, listen, I got to explain to my wife why I want to spend the money on all this other stuff. So if the numbers come in, she's pretty smart, a lot smarter than me. She'll say, all right, go ahead and do that. That you got, 3 million followers now, and you can spend that money. So I got to ask permission from the boss. You got to help me out. Love you, baby. So there's that. And then the idea of maybe having some guests on, having your question. I don't know how many other shows. I don't really pay attention to what they do. I just do stuff that feels good to me. And I want to say thank you to Bunny, who works on the show and does such a great job handling really everything. I just do this part. She's very talented, and I know she's asked me, you should interact with people that watch, and so send me questions. Send me video questions. I'll put your video on the show. So if you send a video question on WhatsApp or whatever it is that you're watching it, don't make it some big giant 5-minute monologue, or I can edit it into a question. But I'd love to have your question come on, your image come on if you're okay with it, and I'll answer back. I send videos back and I post the videos. Hey, Tommy C, thanks for asking. Listen, no, blah blah blah, and I give an answer. So if the more of those comes in, the more I get to interact with you, and that would be really, really cool. I would like to do that. So as you know, I end my show in prayer. I get different responses to that. If you're not somebody that prays, that's okay. You don't have to join. But that's how I do it. That's who I am, and that's what's coming. Lord God, thank you so much, God. I'm so grateful for everything in my life, my wife, my children, my mother-in-law. I'm so blessed. I'm really a lucky man. I just got back from Italy, God, and I have many, many things going on business-wise and with my show. All indications are fruitful and bountiful, thanks to you, God. So I give you thanks and praise. Good health to all that watch the show. And hopefully we have lots of questions and stuff to do for this coming show on Friday. God bless you all and keep you. Amen. That's it. That's the show. Look at that. Woo, just a little bit of dust left, baby. Yeah. God bless you.